Okay, we'll now call this meeting of the Jacksonville City Council to order.
Now call this meeting of the Jacksonville Tourism Development Authority to order.
Council, you have a copy of the agenda for tonight's meeting. At this time, I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Mr. Thomas?
All right. Tourism members, we have a agenda in front of us. Can I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. With that, we'll begin the presentation of our, I want to say welcome to everyone. Thank you for coming out today to this joint meeting of the City Council and Tourism Authority. It's a great opportunity for us to get together and share some ideas and exchange information. I'm going to start out with just a general overview, organizational information on our authority. Going back for those that weren't here, there's just a few of us that weren't here then, but anyway, the establishment of that occupancy tax was an effort that was several years in the making, and thanks to, I remember, then Senator Harry Brown got us to establish a North Carolina session law of 2009-429, I guess that's Senate Bill 80, that established for the city of Jacksonville the occupancy tax, the authority to levy an occupancy tax, which we did in 2010. The committee is made up by 6 members. All are appointed by the city council by charter or statute. It's made up of 2 that represent the businesses that actually collect the tax for us. There's 3 members that represent tourism promotion, who have some affiliation with activities related to tourism, and we have at-large members. Members may fill several of the categories at once. As far as our facilities, we've done an analysis lately, and we found that at this time we have 28 hotels with a total rooms available of 2,484 rooms. Outside of the city, in the county, there are 472 additional rooms. I guess it's mainly in Surf City and Swansboro. As a side note, the county also levies an occupancy tax, so they have 3%, so it's a total of 6% in Onslow. Again, the taxation on the city, we receive a 3% levy, and at the time of our authorization, the standard was out there that 2/3 of the levy was devoted to promotion, 1/3 was assigned to possible tourism-related, or what we used to call capital expenditures. Again, with the help of then Senator Harry Brown, in 2017, we were authorized a flip, where at that point we were able to designate 1/3 to promote travel and tourism, and then we were able to allocate 2/3 to tourism-related expenditures in the hopes that this fund would grow to something substantially to avail us an opportunity to build or buy. Just in general, tourism promotion revenue is at this point the 1/3, which is restricted, the more restricted fund. We are limited to marketing the area, marketing events, and promotions only. Essentially what we used to call advertising, but I guess it's now marketing, media, is a lot more to it. We have the authority to spend it however we see fit, and I guess our role is to disperse those promotion funds. On the tourism-related revenue, they have more flexibility. They can market and promote also, but they can also support local activities. They have capital projects that are available, and essentially any other activity expenditure that can be deemed as tourism-related anyway. Over the past 10 years, we have collected right at $10 million. Recently, obviously, we've had some outliers. FY19 collections were the highest ever at $1.5 million as a result of the unfortunate hurricane that put a lot of people out of their homes into the hotels. 2020, the revenue was $1,089,000, which was a good year considering the drawbacks, setbacks we had with the COVID-related activities. And this year is FY21 is coming in right at 1.1 million, which has turned out to be our second best year, which is a really positive sign. Over the 10 years, we've spent $4.3 million on the promotion side. The tourism related has spent $2.3 million, and we've incurred $300,000 in just administration expenses over those 10 years. So that leaves us at this point with a fund balance, two fund balances essentially, of tourism promotion fund balance is standing at $850,000, and the tourism related has accumulated to $2.3 million. By state statute, I guess we must maintain a $100,000 reserve on that, and that's fine. At the beginning of the year, we made some changes. We kind of dropped down from the 30,000 foot level to a little bit closer participation, and so we came up with the idea of 2 ad hoc committees to spend additional time on the different avenues of promotion. So we have 2 ad hoc committees, one promotion and one for the tourism related. Myself, Chris, and Rick are working on the promotion side. We got Bob, Ken, and Mr. Wright on the tourism related side. This gives us opportunity to meet with staff, talk about ideas, just something, just to kind of brainstorm and look closer at the actual operations that have been going on here. It's been an interesting year. We've done a lot of extra work, it seems like, but I think it's paying off for us. With that said, that's kind of the overview of the authority itself. Now we want to turn it over to some of our directors to relate to you the efforts and findings of our ad hoc committees. So the first one is going to be Chris Davis on the promotions subcommittee.
Thank you, and my sincere apologies for the delay, and I appreciate you waiting. On the promotion side, when we started meeting as an ad hoc committee, obviously it was following the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. And it allowed us to look at this with obviously a new perspective, and within the promotional balance that Chairman Thomas just referenced of the $857,000. When we initially started looking at marketing and what kind of promotion we needed to do, we immediately realized that there should be a reserve of 15% of that fund balance in place, should there be a need to pivot the marketing efforts or the initiative that was in place at that time that would allow some flexibility with that to respond quickly. We placed priority on funding current events that produce local room nights. And we wanted to place a focus on marketing the city as a destination overall, as opposed to simply promoting events only. With the promotions budget that we were working on, I don't have to go through any of these numbers, but obviously if anybody has a question, feel free to ask. We had amounts set aside for Sturgeon City operations, Sports Commission operations, DK Communications, and Viamark Advertising. And those expenditures combined totaled $237,000. On the marketing side, we approved $60,000 for 2 to 3 digital campaigns, an AdWords campaign that can be very tailored and targeted to exactly what, promotional ads that appear right as somebody is searching for things to do here or anything that implies they're on the internet looking for somewhere to go. social boosts and paid ads, photo and video shoots to keep that content fresh, and a Veterans Tribute weekend promotion. Visit NC co-op ad buys, local swag or merchandise that would promote the local area as a whole, media missions with the state PR program, obviously ongoing maintenance and work with the website, travel for our consultants to the market, and our media and travel writers. Our state ads, hero signs for local events, the Visit NC 365 conference, memberships and subscriptions, and then contingency fund, $10,000, totaling $151,200. For the events, we have the Grand Prix Series, which consists of 3 races, a charity ball by Ali Temple, hosts twice a year, Fashion Week, the Arts Festival, Jazz in the City, and Onslow Powwow. Engaged Onslow did not request funds this year. Oktoberfest, Earth Day, and the Esports Big Tourney Weekend. In looking at those, we realized that we needed more information regarding the Big Tourney Weekend because we had nothing to go by to determine an amount for such an event. So the initial request was $108,500, and there was $60,000 of that was approved. So in summary, we had the approved budget items, the approved marketing plan, and the event requests, which totaled $448,200. And then the promotions budget of $445,077, working a shortfall down through those revisions to $3,123. For FY22, this was put together as an example of the occupancy tax because I think a lot of times it's easy to not associate that with a number of room nights. And so with these local events and the room nights that we generated, this is kind of a summary. It's not targeted at any specific event, but it does kind of give you an idea of what kind of tax is generated from this number of room nights. So the suggestions that we had put together in the promotions ad hoc committee really focused on partnerships with the arts community to enhance the experience. There's a range of things that could be covered here, such as murals and the Bulldog Project, but we really felt that was important to engage the arts community. Partnerships for sports tournaments, obviously that generates tourism and room nights. And then to revisit the military reunions, as that certainly generates tourism and room nights within the local market. Some of the revisions that we had to consider within the budget that we were looking at, we realized that there are other avenues of support that we had available to us. And so with some of those changes, some of the funding was decreased, but there's other value that we can bring through the social media pushes and the marketing that we have available to us.
Thank you, Chris. One thing I would like to mention, since I noticed it on the slides here, as an authority, we have staff support, but we have actually no designated employees to the authority. You saw earlier on the slides, we had the DK Communications and the Biomark. They're essentially our 2 consultants that do the heavy lifting as far as coordinating the promotion, placing ads, defining, refining plans, projections and stuff. So they're Susan Dozier and help me.
Teresa
Beecham, I'm sorry, she'll get me for that. But those two people help us a lot through a consultant basis, and they're able to, get the job done for us without having employees of our own per se, so which I think is a good way to do it. With that, I'd like to ask Ken if he would give the Tourism-related Subcommittee's report. And
Okay.
as soon as you get
This is
that.
going to be an adventure here.
That's right.
You sure you want this in my hand?
I know what you're going to say, so.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank the mayor and the council for the opportunity for this board to meet with you. We've been working at this for a long time, and I think we've now reached another stage that we need to move forward with, and hopefully we can talk about some of that tonight. These are some of the suggestions that we've had. Oops, wait a minute. I told you this would be an adventure. Back clip? There you go. Thank you. These are the items that we have spent money on in the last 10 years. And you can see these are kind of the sexy numbers. These are the things that really show our community and showcase our community. And I think this was money well spent. And you can see the amount that was spent on the individual ones. And these are things that even today, that when folks come to the community, even through tours or if they do it individually, these are the places that they wind up seeing at one point, especially the Vietnam, the Montfort, and the Freedom Fountain. So I believe personally this was money well spent because it showcases our community very well. Am I going to keep going to the wrong one? There we go. Here is our income, if you will. This year we're projected, or next year I guess, is $629,000, and our fund balance is $2.3 million. And again, I hope tonight that we can talk a little bit about that fund balance and what we may be able to do with it. Some of the projects on the board right now are citywide wayfinding signs, the Lejeune Memorial Garden sign, the Beirut Memorial Grove sign, and the Welcome Center. This is our obligations as of today. We have an annual debt repayment for the Sturgeon City at $150,000 a year. And I believe we have many years to go on that. So that needs to be subtracted out every year from whatever income we receive. The signage, we do have some money appropriated, but the final number will be determined when we finish that project. And we have other projects that fit into the same category. So as you can see, with $629,000 coming in, we still have a nice surplus each year right now. So the unassigned balance is a little over $2.3 million. Here is what the downtown wayfaring signs look like. And here is what our projection of the Lejeune Memorial Gardens sign would look like. At this point, with your permission, I'd like to turn it over to Anthony. And the reason for that is that there are some things about trying to get these signs into the ground that you'll need to hear about, and he can explain it much better than I can. There's just some hoops and fences we've got to jump over, and he's been working with this very, very closely. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Anthony, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Hagan. Good afternoon, everyone. As Mr. Hagan mentioned, the Lejeune Memorial Gardens, as well as some of the other projects that we've been working on over the past several years, have been challenging. And I'd say about 2 or 3 years ago, you probably recall approving a concept for the Lejeune Memorial Gardens that had a nice limestone sign. It was at the corner of Lejeune and Montfort Landing Road. It was very attractive. It was very well placed. But the challenge was, once we got to the constructability piece of it, you know, from the pretty picture to the actually putting it on the ground, there were far too many utility conflicts, there were flood zone issues, and when you compound all of that together, once we projected out the budget for the project, it ended up being about 3 times what was originally budgeted. So really, that kind of left us at an impasse on that sign. The other thing about it too is DOT wasn't going to allow us to build it in their right of way. So working with the ad hoc committee and the TDA, we've come up with a concept that is probably much more executable. Well, actually, we know it's much more executable. And really, it's probably more appropriate given what we're trying to accomplish with the sign. This is what it would look like. Be right between the 2 entrances. The one on the left is to the memorial, to the Beirut Memorial. And the entrance to the right, of course, is the main parking area for the Memorial Gardens. And really, the intent of this sign is not necessarily to rival anything out there. You know, the other sign was very momentous, it's very large. This is intended to simply mark the site. And it's also intended to be affordable and executable. And we feel that it is both of those. Right now, we're working with the ad hoc committee and the TDA on kind of final concepts with this design. And we're also going to be working with the Camp Lejeune as well as the Memorial Gardens Advisory Committee to get approval on moving forward with this sign. Now, it does look a bit bare on the rendering there, but the intent would be to have some element of landscaping around it. But again, the philosophy here is to mark the site and build upon what's out there and not necessarily rival it. You probably also recall a concept like this. This was either the 3rd or 4th or 5th concept that we had looked at for the Memorial Grove. And this was also approved by the City Council as well as the TDA to move forward to execution. We did the design, we put it out to bid. We bid it 3 times and only received 1 bid. That bid was more than twice what the estimated cost was, at least the estimated cost that we had gotten back from our engineer. One of the things that we didn't really consider, or the engineer didn't consider with the estimate, was the challenge associated with getting to the site and working on the site, and that really caused the cost of the project to increase. So ultimately, this sign, the project, the ad hoc committee and the TDA have elected to continue moving forward on something at the Memorial Grove, but it's very likely going to be a more simplified approach, executable, affordable, et cetera, for that particular location. We're much further along, of course, on the Lejeune Memorial Gardens piece, but as we advance that, then we'll start transitioning into the Memorial Grove concept as well.
Thank you, Anthony. As you can see, he did a great job, and much better than I would have, for sure. The other things that the ad hoc committee has talked about is explore the partnership for the construction of the Welcome Center and explore partnership for the development of expanded city sports facilities. Now, as you can see by our budget, we have $2.3 million sitting in our, what I refer to as our capital fund. We would certainly not want to spend all of that, I don't think, but certainly one of the things that we need to keep in mind is going forward, all things being equal, we should expect somewhere in the vicinity of $600,000 every year to be able to be added to the 2.3. Now, one of the things also to keep in mind is we have a sunset clause on the flip. And I believe we still have 5 years left before the sunset sets in. We're hoping, of course, that we can persuade our representatives in Raleigh that we want to stay with what we have now. But even if it were flipped, we can expect to have somewhere between 2.5 to $3 million during the next 5 years to be applied to capital projects. I think that's very important to keep in mind because, and I know we need to let the council talk about the land and stuff, but I see this as an opportunity that's not going to come along all the time. If the city is able to purchase a large piece of property, I believe that the TDA could be a major funding source towards developing that property. Now, obviously, there's going to have to be, meetings and discussions as to who does what and how this happens. But you know what? There's a third party that is also going to be able to be involved that we've never had before. Because even if the city and the TDA are able to say, yes, this is what we want to do, somebody has to manage it. Somebody has to schedule tournaments. Somebody has to oversee the maintenance. The Sports Commission is an entity that could fill that role. Again, all of this needs to be fleshed out, obviously, and all of it needs to be discussed, and we need to see what that would look like. What I'm really saying is we have an opportunity here to explore how we can go forward to make Jacksonville a better place, both for our citizens through the recreation aspect of this, and also as a tourism-related destination site. The landscape for athletics has changed, and it's changed forever. It's now all about travel teams. I have 4 grandchildren who have played in travel ball. I have one that's still playing. I just came back from Atlanta on a tournament that had 150 teams entered. Now, we're not Atlanta, and I don't say that we'll ever be Atlanta, but they used everything around within a 50-mile radius to accomplish this particular tournament. You can imagine just doing the numbers in your head, how many people are brought to that area for this one tournament. We can do that on a smaller scale. We can increase and enhance the occupancy tax for this community to be able to do things on the recreation side and the city side as partnerships. I would even go one step further and say that, the county should be approached about being involved as well. They should be eliminated if they're not interested. And the reason I say that is they were the push and the emphasis for having soccer fields out at Tabernacle. And they had, along with the Sports Commission, a great tournament going on statewide that people from around the state loved to come to this tournament. It fell apart mainly because the fields couldn't be maintained. There was no entity to maintain the fields. It was volunteers, and that just doesn't work. So what I'm suggesting is we have a unique opportunity here, the TDA being a partner, the city being a partner, the Sports Commission being a partner, and possibly any other entity that could come on board if we could work out the umbrella for all of this. And I'm hoping that we can go forward. This is the first meeting to discuss this. I'm hoping that we can go forward with this idea, and I'm very interested in hearing from the mayor and the council about what the city is proposing as far as land. I know that that's part of the discussion today, and I'm very excited about that. But I just would like everybody to keep in mind, we have a unique opportunity here. We have a funding source. It's going to be an ongoing funding source every year. And by the way, we don't have to do this all at once. We can plan it properly, and we can do it in increments, and we can do it over a 10, 15, 20-year plan and have something in place. So I'm very hopeful that we can look at this from step back and look at it from a broader spectrum than just one meeting. We need to go forward. We have an opportunity, and let's take advantage of it. That is our presentation, and that's my long-winded plea to you to let's keep moving. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ken. So now I guess we got some presentations from the council,
Sir, if I could have,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
from the city staff.
Unfortunately, sir, you have to listen to me again, but I do have the pleasure of presenting the wonderful things that the city is working on from a capital perspective. And we're all familiar with these projects, but we did just want to give you an update as to where we are on some of them, because I'm sure all of you are interested. Here are the ones that we're going to look at: Jack Amyette, the Welcome Center, the Marina, as well as Jacksonville Station. A couple weeks ago, we received some really good information, or really good news on Jack Amyette. It was surprising, but all the bids came back below the budget for that project. Low bid was around $4 million, and the project budget, if you recall, was around $5 million. $1 million of that, of course, being some money that we would receive from federal government, the DSIP grant, and then some of that being insurance proceeds as well. Of course, the bids are within the budget, and the scope remains unchanged. You know, we're looking at a full-size gymnasium with two smaller courts that could run crosswise across the main court. Anticipated construction is October of '21, and ideally, if everything goes as planned, we'd like to be in it summer of '23. I believe the intent is hopefully to bring the contract to the City Council for consideration on the 17th. From a Welcome Center standpoint, it's purchased in 2019. Of course, we all remember that. The city staff has evaluated the building, and at this point, the recommendation is actually to demolish the structure. Reason being is that the cost benefit of bringing it back into a usable condition is just simply not there. The recommendation, of course, is to build a new facility, and that is what we had planned originally on the first site that was on Jacksonville Landing, and then to place a hold on this project pending other priorities that are currently ongoing from a capital perspective. And of course, this is the beautiful Jacksonville Landing, and where the current Exxon building is, where potentially the new Welcome Center could go. One of the great things about that is if you recall, the original Welcome Center that was designed was around 2,000 square feet. Having additional square footage for the property could allow us to have a larger footprint for that building if you so choose. Riverwalk Marina, of course, this is funded partially by FEMA, funding from Hurricane Florence, as the marina was originally damaged by that hurricane, as well as the city. The design is underway. Of course, we have to have CAMA permitting done because of its proximity to the water, and the bids intend to be out in fall of '21, so just in a few months. Estimated completion date, fall of '22. This is basically a planimetric view of what that facility would look like. I don't know if I have oh, I do. So parking along Kerr Street with the main building being here, sidewalk network, and then picnic shelters that would allow folks to have a wonderful view of the downtown waterfront. Right before the July break, council approved this option. Option number 2 is the preferred one to move forward to design. It's got a number of city queues built into it. And then, of course, my favorite, Jacksonville Station. I'm partial to this one. It's been a long time coming. Been working on this for about 10 years now. But it's a multimodal facility. I think we're all pretty familiar about what we're trying to accomplish out there. Cost is around $9 million. The construction is fully funded by FTA and NCDOT funds. The city has not put one dime into construction. The value of the land that was given to us by the Department of the Navy is being used to leverage all of the construction dollars. And projected completion date, I certainly hope it's December 21, but materials and labor and all of that's really volatile right now. But the goal is to be in that building the beginning of next year. Here's some pictures. It's coming along very nicely. Hopefully it's something that we're going to be really proud of once it's all said and done. And just a reminder for our council members that there's an open invitation for the 17th. If you'd like to go out and actually visit the site, as well as our TDA members, if you'd like to join us, you can join us for a tour of the facility. We can show you the progress that's been done. And we'll also have some renderings out there so that you can see what the final product might look like. Thank you very much.
Going back to, if you don't mind me asking, going back to the Welcome Center.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Sorry, sir. I'm getting hand signals. Just a reminder that the tour will begin at 4 p.m. for the Jacksonville
Sign
station.
up for it if you want to go. On the Welcome Center, there was a lot of demand. We've received a lot of demand for that, in that particular location, correct? How is it going to be maneuvered on the roadway there? If you put that picture back up again?
Are you asking about how the facility might be accessed?
Right.
So what we know in speaking with DOT is that these areas right in here are quite challenging from an access standpoint. So very likely what it would end up being is you'd either come in from kind of behind here, or we've got this cross-access road here. You might end up with a parking lot that kind of loops around. But at this point, we don't really have a design. The intent is, of course, to kind of consolidate some of those driveways because there is a safety concern, particularly with
Right.
this one right here.
I've got a question too, Anthony. In the previous iteration of the Welcome Center, we had a design that actually we sent out to bid, and we were almost on the verge of authorizing construction.
Yes, sir.
But the bid came in so high. Did we ever figure out why that was? Was it just timing, or was it our
Honestly,
design?
I'm not sure, sir, but I do recall that the bid did come back well above what the estimated, what the budget was and the engineer's estimate
Right,
was.
because we were on the cusp of authorizing it until it came in just so, I forgot. It was
If we could,
tremendously
there is a
expensive.
hidden slide right here that we could put up to show that design. I do think at some point, along the way, there was a timing issue,
Okay.
Where there was a lot of demand for construction activity elsewhere, and that this probably just didn't, there probably just wasn't as much interest in the project as there might be now.
Because we spent quite a bit of time on just the design, I remember, as a
Well, and
group,
it's a wonderful design too. One thing that I'll remind you of is that the design that is shown here on the screen is actually,
Yeah.
I messed that up. The design, it's actually, I'm going to stop messing with it. It's on the right-hand side of the screen. There's a green space that was left for the construction of that. So the decision will have to be made if we're moving forward with the Welcome Center at this location. Might it go on that existing footprint, because you've got size constraints there? Or might it go where the old Exxon station is, which gives you greater flexibility, probably a larger footprint if you so choose?
Anthony?
Sir.
I've got a question. Did we not, or have we considered bringing in the county with the city for this Welcome Center? Weren't we pursuing that at one point?
There were discussions about that at one point in time. Of course, the city and the county were partners in Jacksonville Landing to start with, as well as the Fish and Wildlife Service. DOT had a piece of it as well. But I don't think that those conversations have gone really anywhere since the landing was completed.
Okay. Do you think it's worth pursuing? In other words, we were even talking about maybe a second story, or, where you can bifurcate and have maybe the city on one level, the county on another level, some partnership. Because obviously, when somebody comes to Onslow County, Jacksonville is a county seat, but we've got other cities within the county as well that might want to put items out at the Welcome Center.
I defer to the council and, of course, the TDA on those decisions, but, I think really the more partners you have available to you to implement something like this, the better off you are.
Okay, one other thing, as well as, if we can go back to the location of the Grove, I want to make sure people are clear that where it's going to be located as far as this site. I think it's 2 locations.
Yes, sir, there are 2 locations.
Where are they at?
So it's a bit challenging for me to describe. I've had to do this probably 100 times, but I'll try it again. So if you're heading out of town, 17 southbound, from the bypass, so to speak, right? And you're approaching what I call the very large flat lawn area of the Memorial Grove, okay? And then the hill is kind of a bit further away from you. One of these signs would be located on that flat wall, or that flat lawn.
Now, is that before you get to the air station?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Now, if you're coming northbound on what I call 17 Business, okay, going towards the Highway Patrol office, towards the DMV, towards the DOT office, there is kind of a bank there on the right-hand side, and then the top plateau for the Memorial Grove is visible as well. The intent was to put something on that side as well. Now, whether it's on the bank or whether it's on the very top of the plateau, that is yet to be seen. But I think really what we're trying to do on that side is just to get as much exposure as we possibly can. At the same time, kind of balance the construction costs.
All right, thank you. I just wanted the people to know that
Yes,
where
sir.
it's going to be located, that it's not going to be at the gardens.
No, sir, this would be at the Memorial Grove, which is out at the bypass.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been open up for general discussion. First off, if anybody has any questions of any one of our presenters, it'd be a good time to ask.
Okay. All right, any of our
No,
members got some?
I'm just thankful the city council can meet with us. We can exchange ideas and knowledge, and talk to each other and let everybody knows what's going on. So I'm very thankful for that. Thank you.
We appreciate the
Yeah.
time and energy that y'all put into it. I know it's a volunteer service that you do. We certainly do appreciate, what you do, the effort that you make to help make Jacksonville a better place to live, work, and play. Is any of the council members want to add anything or ask a question, or how about staff? We got any? Okay.
Well, one item I know that did come up, we talked about as the TDA, as far as trying to help downtown develop, was the concept of murals that we did pass. We did bring it forward. I guess it's been probably a couple of years now, but it seems that in erring on the side of caution, that maybe we have stymied the idea because we've had so little to no progress on it, that we were hoping maybe that we could, as an authority, could encourage the council to consider relaxing the standards, updating the standards, or streamlining the process of approval or thing, because I don't think we've had much interest in it as far as I can recall. I'm not on the staff level to know that what we have had, but as far as things we can do downtown that are not so capital intensive, that could be an attraction to be considered.
There's a lot of cities in North Carolina that are actually doing that. I know
Okay.
Raleigh for one, and, a couple others have adopted ordinances that, allow the murals, of course, there's contingencies on how they're displayed and
Right.
how they're made, but, Yeah, I mean, that's something we could probably revisit
revisit.
as a council.
You know, so that was one item I know that came up. Anything else from our authority members? that wanna
Yeah,
add?
at the sake of being pushy, are we going to discuss possibly having another meeting after the city has made other decisions? Is that possible?
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely,
absolutely.
absolutely. Anybody, let's say, I know there's a closed session tonight where council's gonna be, probably talk about some property acquisition. Would you want to, what kind of timeframe would y'all?
I have no timeframe in mind. I understand the sensitivity of private negotiations, and that's part of what the process is. I just want all of the council members to know that we've had this discussion with the TDA a couple of times. We don't want this opportunity to slip by. I think we're all in agreement that this is a wonderful opportunity. If the city does, if they are able to purchase a piece of property, as one member of the TDA, I am of the opinion that we ought to look at helping fund outdoor facilities at this site to enhance the heads-on-beds aspect of what we're all about. And I think this is an opportunity to do that. So I will be very interested in seeing the outcome of your negotiations. And I would, obviously, if you do purchase a piece of property, that would be the proper time, I would think, to sit down and see where we need to go beyond that. So we're in a holding pattern, I understand that, but I would just, I would plead with the council to consider the TDA being part of the process, because we can make some wonderful things happen. The money's there, and we've got an opportunity, so we need to take that opportunity. That would be my.
Well, I can certainly appreciate what you're saying. The heads on beds are important, but there's the other aspect of it too, is we have a growing city. And our recreational opportunities are limited. We see kids practicing on, church lawns, we don't have enough fields in the city right now to accommodate, the growing youth in our community. I believe I could yield to the Park Service, and you probably, or Recreation, you could tell me the same thing, that we don't have enough available fields for our youth. We're actually in the process of looking at some large new developments in the city, which is going to probably create, additional need for those things. So, yeah, we need to push forward with this as far as being able to expand the city's recreation capability, as well as make us an attractive, venue to bring in these tournaments. You're talking about the traveling tournaments and all. We need to be able to put ourselves in a position to compete with those.
Well, I hope I haven't given the impression that whatever property you buy, we're going to take it over.
No.
No. I understand that. And look, you know what my previous profession was as the recreation director, so I'm in 100% support of whatever the city does in the area of parks and recreation. I just think we have a funding source that we need to use. That's my suggestion.
Definitely. Oh, yeah. There's no reason in this world why we can't have a partnership in this.
And Ken, I
That's
agree
great
with
to hear.
what you're saying here, because I think as a group that we have come to the realization that athletics is probably one of the best tourism avenues we have as far as pushing the curve. I mean, we're so blessed with what we have. I mean, Jacksonville is an easy sell. So many people have loved ones here that come just to see their loved ones. We got just a natural base of tourism via the base. Of course, that's our basis of everything, but.
Do you
but
have any idea how long I've waited for a council member to say those very words?
No, not sure, but anyway.
50 years.
I appreciate it. Like I said, we've seen it, we've seen the numbers, the sporting, the athletics, the youth thing is our true potential for growth in our tourism. I mean, we can't, you know,
Yeah, I
we've
don't
got a
think-
lot of good things that are already here, but this would be an addition that would put us on the map, so to speak.
I definitely don't think we can go wrong. I believe we could really create a very nice, you know, again, like I said, a nice amenity for our citizens that are here and a great venue, you know, to attract other, you know, people from other communities. I think it's, like you said, it's a golden opportunity. We don't need to let it slip by us. So, any council add-ons here?
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Mayor. One of the things I was wondering, because like Attorney Wright had mentioned concerning the county, has there been any ideas about bringing the county into a larger conversation with this? Because anything that benefits,
Well,
Jacksonville.
we're in the process of having discussions with the county. Actually, we met yesterday
okay,
with the chairman of the county commission and the county manager, and we had a very good discussion, Dr. Woodruff and myself. And we'll share that information with you.
okay, thanks.
They, you know, the feedback I got from them yesterday is that they do have an interest, you know. Now, whether that equates to financial support, we'll have to wait and see on that one. I don't know. I don't think that was etched in stone. You know, go get them, it's a good idea. You know, that did, you know, they did give that feedback, so.
Well, the thing about the county being involved, you know, they were financially involved with the Tabernacle project,
Right.
Well aware
which
of that.
they bought into.
We purchased
Yes.
the land
I
that it
think
came
you were
in.
a
You're
county
absolutely
commissioner
right.
at that
When I
time.
was on the board, it was a great purchase. We just couldn't maintain the fields.
Yeah.
But it was a
And-
great idea.
With the occupancy tax being the way it is, they're receiving a large amount, as all of you know, from the motels and hotels in Jacksonville. So I don't know why they wouldn't want to be a part of this project, but that's for
Well, and
another
I
day.
agree with you, Ken. You have to look at the figures. Well, we got 2,500 rooms roughly, okay, available. We've got, pre-pandemic, our best figures that we've had for occupancy tax. I think the best we've ever had. We're getting ready to, this is post-pandemic, we're getting somewhere near that figure again. I think we can only go up. So it's very promising that there may be more than 600 to 800, maybe even 1 million more. I really feel that we're onto something and we need to strike the iron while it's hot. I think that's what Ken was basically talking about. But there's various ideas of recreation. You worked in recreation. For example, and I've got to say this because I got the opportunity to have the city council's ear and everything. We need a public swimming pool. Period. I always wanted to say that. But a lot of our youth don't know how to swim. And that's something that's just part of the recreation puzzle. You've got your tournaments, you've got all this other stuff. But I just see this as morphing into something that could really be beneficial for us if you allow us to be partners with you. I had to get that off my chest, I'm sorry.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you for your input. But, yeah, like I said, we began some talks yesterday, and hopefully we're going to meet again at a later date and further discuss it. And that's where we're at with the county.
All right.
And thank the mayor and the council for
Yes.
the opportunity to have this meeting and this discussion. And what I'd also like to make sure the council understands, we could not do our job as the TDA without the help of the staff. I mean, we just couldn't do it because we are, in essence, volunteers, and they actually do the legwork and all, you know, the stuff that you see on the screen. So again, I want to thank them for that, and I want to thank you for allowing them to be part of what we do. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
Any other comments? Discussion?
I would just add to what Ernie and Ken were just saying, that partnership could certainly be mutually beneficial from a promotions and marketing side as well.
Nobody? Okay. Well, I guess that we'll figure out when we'll meet again. Hopefully, we'll have a lot more information next time that we meet to be able to pass on to you. So,
So I guess at this point, we're at the point where we can ask for an adjournment of the Jacksonville Tourism Development Authority.
So moved. Second?
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
okay, motion to adjourn from the city council.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Gotcha. Thank you very much.
Thanks.